Greetings! Welcome guys to a very special episode of Variable Gamecast. As always, I'm one of your hosts, Matt McGregor, the hero of time management, and to my right, Dr. Luigi, Zach Lamott. How are you?
I'm feeling ready.
Feeling ready. I'm happy with that. So again, it's going to be a very special episode. We're here downtown Sudbury, Comics North. We're going to take you on a tour of the shop, so let's go! Hey everyone, once again, we just had our little walk around the actual store, which is cool. We ended it off on a Mortal Kombat 3 Ultimate fight.
I got slapped.
Yay! Well, it was pretty even.
I beat you the first time.
Yeah.
That was the dry run.
Yeah, it was.
That's what we call them.
So yeah, like the shop's really cool. Again, I've been in a few times. We looked through the comic books, a lot of the different items that are around, like the game section, and we had a chance to speak with Cal a little bit as well, who's the owner of the store. He just took ownership last year, October 1st, so it'll be 1 year that he took over for and expanded Comics North beyond just comics and moved into the gaming section as well. Because this location has been in the heart of Sudbury since the early 80s. So
yeah.
in one form or another, but it's a long time in this building itself. So it's really cool to see something expanded on that has such a like a history and a legacy here in Sudbury.
Yeah, exactly. The last time I came in here was like mostly comics and stuff like that. Now I'm seeing there's tons of gaming stuff, like everything from like Game Boy, normal Nintendo, Super Nintendo. Got like
even like some expanded stuff. Like there's a Switch here that's I'm not even sure you can get that for Switch anywhere else. I think you can just. I think that was just in Japan they released that. You can get that at PS4 and Vita, but I don't think you can get that for Switch. So there's like a bunch of like really cool stuff here.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I've seen some really rare stuff like in the special boxes and everything. Like this is the place you would want to go if you're looking for like the rarer games too. Like I can't tell you how many like hawk shops I've gone into like looking for like simple stuff like Link to the Past or Chrono Trigger or Ocarina of Time or like anything like that.
100%.
It's all here.
Totally. Even all
my friends are here.
They all made it. And even like the console stuff too, right? Like there's stuff like that's boxed, like a Super Nintendo, Wii, ColecoVision.
Yeah, exactly.
And like stuff out of the box as well.
Yeah.
So we did want to go through a few like the really cool items beyond what we just discussed that we thought people might find interesting.
The Super Scope.
The Super Scope. I was looking at something else, but the Super Scope will do. So again, I think this one is like you can use for like Yoshi's Safari.
Right.
Like that.
Yeah.
So it's again something I haven't seen since I was a child.
What are they going to need to kill safari animals? A Super Scope.
Can we just make like a bazooka / shotgun? Yeah, totally.
All the things in one.
Just so kids don't get confused, make it purple. And then also wanted to discuss the Virtual Boy. So the Virtual Boy is something that I've only seen once in my entire life, and that was when I was a small child in a Blockbuster. And it's a lot of like wireframe games. So
You're not gonna be able to hear you at all.
why? Because I'm in VR. Because
That's right.
I've gone into
Once
another
you
world.
enter VR, you're in that like
Only in VR.
alternate reality.
And we have some actual games here, like Mario Tennis.
Mario Tennis.
How would I pronounce that? Telro?
Telero Boxer.
Perfect, nailed it. Wario Land,
Boxer.
and this cute Japanese game. Appears to be baseball. But anyway, it's really, really cool. Again, something I've only seen since I was a little kid. And it's very strange. It's all red. So I don't even know how to describe it. I think it burns out your retinas, but it's a really,
Right.
really cool like thing to have in the shop. We also talked to Cal, and like some of the really cool stuff that have passed through are a few of these homebrewed games. So like they're the ROM hacks.
Right.
So they are based on games that never existed. So like there is no F-Zero-2, there is no Super Metroid Final Stand. So it's they've taken the ROM of the original game and they've basically customized it to make a brand new game itself.
Earthbound Uncut.
That's right, Earthbound Uncut. Like there's Mega Man 7, which is like Rockman 7, which looks really, really cool. But yeah, and they'll work in your actual like Super Nintendo and etc.
Right,
So it's again, it really, really, really cool stuff.
Yeah.
But what we're going to do today, our main focus, is we've taken some of the collection here from our own stuff as well as some of the stuff here at Comic Store / Hidden Level Gaming. And we want to present some of our like favorites from different eras, from going away from all the way from like normal Nintendo all the way into like more modern PS4, Xbox One, etc.
You got it.
So the first one I want to talk about for the normal Nintendo is Metal Gear. So not Metal Gear Solid for those young folk. This is the original Hideo Kojima Metal Gear Solid game. So
Look at that.
It's getting real tight in there.
Can we get a
real tight in there?
tighter on that? I'm just kidding. Don't move it. Don't touch it.
Alex, don't touch it.
Alex, don't touch. You're not here to touch. Yeah, no, this rules. Look at the graphics on that box.
It's clearly just stolen from like Escape from New York. That's clearly Kurt Russell. like the guy was just like, okay, like I want an army guy, and he's like, oh no, can you have more of like a mullet? Can you look more like Kurt Russell from The Thing? It's
Right,
like,
yeah.
No, more like Escape from New York.
I love my favorite are like pencil crayons.
Pentagrams.
Pencil crayons.
Right. Just shading in.
Yeah, like that type of art style for like 90s games is just my favorite.
Totally. It's so
Like
funny,
the-
like the back in the day, the idea of like even more so like the not ColecoVision, but let's say Atari stuff, where it's like adventure time and it's like a knight dueling like a dragon and stuff.
Yeah.
Like wow, like the game really had to sell you on like,
Yeah.
or the box had to sell you on the game. But then when you play, it's like beep, 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 and it's like the like 4 squares like walking
Right.
across grass.
It's really important though. Like it still gives me that, like if I see Snake like holding the gun around like a corner, I could like when I buy the game when I'm a kid and then I like look at the box all the way home and then I get home, I could still kind of I get in that like atmosphere, I guess.
Totally. You're applying what you've seen, your preconception of the game into like what you're actually playing. So you know you can kind of see like you're in sneak mode and you're gonna be fighting a big robot, which does happen at the end when you confront.
Spoiler alert.
When you confront, actually I shouldn't say that. There's you confront a character in that game at the end. You play the game to find out. Hey, come on down to my place. I'm out and we'll edit my address out.
123 Front Street, Sudbury, Ontario.
I think that's the Sky Dome.
Yeah, well, maybe. We'll look into it.
So, is there anything you want to touch upon for the normal Nintendo era?
The games I played the most for normal Nintendo were like Mario's.
100%.
Mario 3 was.
Are you in
like,
1, 2, and 3?
Yeah.
The Mario 2 is actually
So weird.
It is. It's not even a Mario
weird
game.
one.
It's actually. It was actually. I can't remember the name of the game. Is it Toki Toki Panic? Okay,
There you go.
okay. It was the that was released in Japan under a different game, and they applied Mario to that just because of the success of Mario Brothers, which we have in the background here. And agreed. I think those 3 games are some of the most important games that exist from that era: Mario 1, 2, and 3.
Right. Yeah, and I saw a few of those here.
Yeah,
well, I'd
100%.
seen Mario 2 under there. Anyways,
I'm still hunting.
yeah, other normal Nintendo games, kind of at a loss. Like I played the Mega Mans.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like that. I actually.
Oh, Final Fantasy.
Actually, just speaking of Final Fantasy, it's right behind us somewhere.
Yeah.
It's around. Oh, right here. The actual.
Yeah.
Like
there you go. That's
like
the one.
box copy of Final
I
Fantasy.
never
which is
owned
super
that
cool.
one. My next door neighbor did.
Right. Yeah.
Which
yeah.
was like, that was the way gaming was back in the day. Like if you, somebody on the block had a
Right.
system, and then everybody would get over there, old and young,
100%.
and hang out.
Speaking of Mega Man, so Mega Man 3, I beat that like once a year. So I actually
Right.
just beat it about
That's
2 weeks
stupid.
ago.
What a waste of time.
Stupid, not even looking at me. Look at me. Yeah, so we can move into the Super Nintendo kind of era.
It's super.
Because we have a few more additional copies to show you. So do you want me to go first, or do you want to talk about your Super Nintendo
her.
experience
Just give her.
first? Whatever I want.
Yep.
So we're just talking about Mega Man. So another game I'd probably beat annually or every 2 years is another Mega Man X. And that's the game that, again, same thing. I didn't actually own it. It was my cousin who owned it down the street, and we would just
Right.
go and burn out on it. And
Right.
my friends would come over. It was kind
Yeah.
of different versus now. We'll get into the more modern gaming speak in a little bit, but the idea of playing games is a lot more. Not isolated, but you're at home playing
Yeah,
online,
isolated.
right?
It's a pretty good word.
Right.
Yeah, exactly. Whereas, yeah, like split screen was a thing at one
Right.
point, or like if you're playing a hockey game, like everybody comes over and you're
Right.
on the same,
Or even just passing
same
the
TV.
controller back and forth. We talked
Right,
about Mario
yeah.
a second ago,
Yeah.
right? So like when we played Mega Man X, like that game like really they compartmentalize a lot of like the gaming. So you'd be like, okay, I'll take on Storm Eagle, and then you'll fight. I was gonna say Overdrive Ostrich, but that's not Mega Man X2. So then you'll fight the Chill Penguin next. Then Chill
Right.
Penguin, then
Chill
you'll fight.
Penguin.
Oh, they're
This
all
sounds
they're all
chill.
here. They're all here, man.
This will be
They're all-
easy. Actually, that was the easiest one. I always did that one first.
Yeah, where he like jumps on like the lamp and like
Yeah.
shoots like the storm at you. Yeah, he sucked.
Yeah, he wasn't very good.
Screw you, Chill Penguin. What a
The not so chill penguin.
What an odd thing to to hold a vendetta on, dying on that hill.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, I'll pass it over to you for your choice for
Super Nintendo? Yeah, so Super Nintendo is where I really got like heavy into RPGs. So I played a lot of stuff like Link to the Past. Chrono Trigger was probably my favorite game from Super Nintendo. We've got a copy of Link to the Past right there, which is super. I love the old boxes.
It's cool, like the evolution,
doesn't want
right,
the
of
boxes?
the Zelda 1 to 2 to Link to the Past,
Right.
moving into Ocarina of Time, like which we'll talk about a little later,
Yeah.
which we have here as well. But they carry that same theme throughout the whole thing,
Right.
Through the different iterations. We have again a few more Zeldas laying around as well, again, which
Yeah.
we'll talk about later.
Yeah.
But sorry to interrupt you. Keep going.
That's okay. You could just owe me. Yeah, so for me, like normal Nintendo, especially probably because I was so young too, like I know there were like a lot more story-based games in Nintendo, but I don't think I was ready for that in gaming yet. Like I loved the Marios, I loved like some of the more original X-Men's. Like I did play some RPGs for the normal Nintendo era, but Super Nintendo for me was like my introduction to the concept of like story-based, like character developing kind of games, which is why I really ran with stuff like Chrono Trigger and stuff like when I was done, I would go up and tell my parents about like this adventure I had. Whereas like playing like
Cut the grass, Zachary.
After like Super Mario 3, I wasn't exactly like, Mom, and then Mario said to the Toad,
Where's my wife?
Where's my wife? Where is she? So yeah, whereas like Chrono Trigger, like talking with friends and stuff like was, I guess, again, like where I really became attracted to more like story-based games, and then going into like the consoles after that, and which we will get into.
Totally. The RPG in the Super Nintendo era is very important to myself. So you touched upon Chrono Trigger, which is one of the best games ever made. Then moving into Final Fantasy 6/3, which is depending on where you lived, whether it be here or in Japan, also a very, very important game that deals with some relatively heavy concepts of death and et cetera. But the one that's really jumped out at me, we have a ROM hack of it, but is Earthbound. The original Earthbound, which is actually a pretty rare game, that really turned the RPG idea on its head. Instead of it being knights in armor
Right.
and using magic and fighting the villain that's also a knight or a
Right.
jester that's all fantasy
Just
based.
regular kids.
We're
You
just
need
kids.
hamburgers to restore HP.
Exactly. And then to save, you call your dad.
Yeah.
Which rules?
Dad.
You just go to the phone.
Right.
And that's it. Then your
Right.
dad, he says, I'll record your adventure. And it's
Right.
great. And then even when you beat the game,
My dad was always recording my adventures growing up. It was relatable.
cut the grass.
Cut the grass.
Roberto. Even at the end of the game, so when you beat it, it shows the credits go, but you also have the characters. So I cut across, and it's Ness, and then I think Paula, and then all the different characters come flying by the screen to introduce you to all the enemies,
Right.
etc. And
Yeah.
your dog comes by, but also it says Dad, and it's just the phone.
Right.
So you never even
Yeah.
see him ever. It's always just the phone.
It's your dad. You could just picture your dad.
Exactly.
That's the idea.
So exactly. So it's kind of putting you in the role as a role-playing type of
Right.
game, right? So that game really spoke to me in the sense of, again, instead of being like the chosen one as a knight, you are just a kid thrown into more
Right.
circumstances that also has psychic powers and can throw fire and lightning and stuff. So maybe not as realistic as I thought, but
What?
but
You can't throw fire and lightning?
Well,
What's wrong with you?
not on weekends.
Only on weekends.
So again, that game was like very, very important to me. But we also have for Super Nintendo a copy. This is my pride and joy.
F-Zero.
F-Zero. So a launch game for the Super Nintendo. This one is important to me because it is still sealed.
Right. That's why.
That's why.
It means it hasn't been played ever.
That's right.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's why.
That's insane.
I know, right? So this came out 93.
93.
There was no trademarks back then. 1991. Is that right? 1991.
It's gotta be.
Let's say 1991.
Sealed.
Yeah. Even like, so we're talking about the idea of gaming graphics or whatever, the box that's selling you on the game you're about to play.
Right.
Check out that Captain Falcon
Falcon.
sitting in his little car.
He looks upset. Yeah, just gritting his teeth like, I gotta win. I'm gonna take it.
I'm gonna get last. This guy's gonna lap me. I forgot that guy's name in the background. Samurai something.
Who cares?
Anyway.
It's just somebody's art.
You just said like
I'm
literally
just
10 minutes
kidding.
ago. You know what? The box art's really important because it's showing me that I'm going to be sneaking around as Kurt Russell fighting a robot. And now you're like, don't even worry about it. It's kind of
doesn't
stupid
matter.
anyway. It doesn't-
You're gonna play the game and it's gonna be a bunch of stupid graphics that have nothing to do with the cover.
Don't even worry about it. oh, okay. So just in case, I'm going to try and get that a little further up for the camera.
Look at the graphics on that box.
I don't think they could even
It's
see that. I
camp.
I could say these are all unopened.
Yeah,
People
you
are like,
could.
wow, that's amazing.
I'm gonna watch the shit out of this. The remainder of this thing.
All right.
Turok.
Do you want to move into
Sorry, yeah.
Turok?
Into the next gen?
Yeah. So actually, that actually is a very
Yeah, we have
nice little.
access to a lot of like. So I played Battle Tanks, Turok, WWF Warzone was a good one.
Up, left, A, B, R, stunner.
Resident Evil 2.
So this is actually a nice transition because we're moving more into the PlayStation N64 era of games we want to talk about. And if we're like peeking through the glass
Smash
here,
Bros.
Smash Brothers,
Top game. I played so much.
Out of all the N64 games, I would say that might be the one I put the most time into.
Yeah, exactly.
Just in terms of
time.
even single player, it seems strange how like the break the targets or
Right,
like the
It's all
and-
about the multiplayer.
Exactly, but that one is where we ultimately put a lot of our time into. So I'm just looking through here as well.
Remember,
Yoshi
N64
Story.
was the first console to have four controller inputs, so that was huge too. To like get friends over and play Smash Bros with 4 controllers.
Yeah, or like
Excitebike,
like GoldenEye, like stuff like that, right?
GoldenEye.
Sorry, I'm looking through here as well. Winback. I remember playing. I went to Jason Talon, Sean O'Reilly. You were watching right now. I watched you guys play Winback for an afternoon. That was really fun.
I'm sure they're watching.
In their hearts. Like even like Pokemon games started getting a little bit big in
Pokemon
this era,
Snap.
right? There's Pokemon Snap.
Never got huge into those.
It's because you suck.
Yeah, I know.
Sorry, I know you said to not tell you suck today. I'm sorry.
I know you specifically told me.
Not to say that. But even so, we're gonna get into a little bit. But then there's Pokemon stadium here, and I played so much Star Wars Shadows of the Empire.
Yeah, that was a good one. I never beat it.
I
It's
have.
hard.
So I'm also a little foggy in this area, but as Dash Rendar, the last mission has you in the Outlander, which is your ship,
Right.
very Millennium Falcon-esque
Right.
looking ship, and you fly into, for all intensive purposes, the Death Star. It's not a
Right.
big round or anything, but it's their machine of destruction, the Empire's machine of destruction that's coming in, and you fly in, you have to shoot out the cores, and then it
Yeah.
explodes, and then you have to make the escape. And then when you get to the edge, it explodes, and then the credits kind of go, and they say, did Dash Rendar make it? Beat it on the hardest difficulty
Right.
to find out.
Right.
And then I tried, and I tried, and I tried. Damn you, IG-88 and the Garbage Planet. It was so hard.
Yeah, I never beat it. Not
it's-
even on normal difficulty.
It's really hard, but it's a really, really cool game. It was the first game I remember doing the Hoth mission so perfectly. They have,
Right.
in the snow speeder, and then
Right,
the
yeah.
AT walkers come out, and
Yeah.
you actually have to do the grapple hook and
Yeah.
just, like, do the spin, and the
Yeah.
controls don't make any sense anymore because your brain breaks.
Right.
And then you try to make it around the legs, and you just barely make it, and then they eventually trip over it.
Right.
And then you're like, yes, I'm a god, and then they say, oh, we have to do that 3 or 4 more times.
Yeah,
And I'm
exactly.
like, I don't think I
Do
could do
all
that.
of
I don't
them.
think I could do that one more time, let alone 2 or 3 more times.
Star Wars Episode 1 Racer.
Oh, the pod racer is
Yeah.
so good.
Yeah.
Especially just the level. I can picture the first level in my head really, really well. Doing Anakin's like the blue and white pod with like the purple connectors.
Right.
And then Sebulba chasing me. And I think you just have to beat the game. But if you beat the game, you unlock Sebulba's racer, and he has like a flamethrower on it, which
Right.
is really super
Right.
rad.
I think GoldenEye is worth mentioning just in terms of like who didn't play that game when it like that came out with the 64, right? Like
No, I
around the
think
same time, wasn't it?
It soon, but not
Soon,
not
yeah.
at launch.
I remember the first time I had seen it, and like with the 3D graphics, and you like look at your watch and stuff. I was just
Right.
like, graphics will never get better. Like, how is it even
Look at that
possible?
suit.
Look at that suit.
Even
that
the
golden
idea,
gun.
even the idea, yeah,
Polygons.
It's literally just 4 blocks put together. The part that I think GoldenEye really, really influenced was the idea of having a mission structure to your first-person shooter.
Right.
So in the past, when you're looking at Doom, you're trying to get from point A to point B, and that's kind of it.
Right.
There's some secrets here and there, and you can destroy all the monsters,
Right.
etc. But GoldenEye was the first time where I felt they say, hey, you also have to go find this disc,
Right.
put that into the computer, or find the scientists, or destroy all of these tanks with the
Right.
proximity or the
Yeah, you
remote
have to murder
mines
those
or whatever.
or you can
I,
murder.
No, I think you're trying to avoid murdering scientists. I think maybe that's why I always failed that mission. And
Couldn't get past it. I don't get it. Just turn on multiplayer and was there
So-
bots?
I don't think
No,
so.
I don't think so.
No,
Perfect Dark had bots.
Perfect Dark had
That was
bots.
so much
That's
fun
cool.
too. Woo.
I agree. And then
For multiplayer.
I like the idea of it stacked, like the difficulty when you change it. So let's see, what agent, secret agent,
Oh, yeah.
double agent, or I think
How do you remember this stuff?
So I don't know, man. I don't
You still rocking them.
So like if last Sunday night. The idea of stacking difficulty. So going back to your question about how do I remember this? So to talk about video games, you can, let's say you're building a character and you get to spec the way you want. Like, hey, I want more stealth, and I want more power. I want to be able to shoot fire or ice. Stay with me. I'm taking you for a little walk here.
Okay.
I can see you just be like, what?
Yeah, I'm
where's this
gone,
going?
I'm gone.
Where is this going? Saddle it, man. Pack a lunch or one for a walk. The idea of I spec'd all of my skill points into memory, and that's it.
Okay.
I've allocated
makes sense.
I'm a broken character.
The real answer is that Matt stayed away from hard drugs and alcohol.
That's not true.
That's not true.
Just man, plenty of hard drugs, alcohol. Not true.
Couple drugs.
I'm just kidding, Mom. If you're watching, just fast forward the next 15 minutes.
We'll do a long bleep through a lot of
I'm just, I'm just me talking and
Yeah.
moving, and you're just like,
Your mom's just like,
what nice young
yeah,
men.
what nice young men.
Sorry, the idea of stackable difficulty, where if you played an agent, get to the end of the dam, and then that's it. You bungee off the edge of the dam. Then you
Right.
bump up to secret agent,
Yeah.
and it's okay. Now you have to go find. You have to disable all the alarms first. So you have to shoot all the alarms, and you get the check mark for that.
Right.
Then escape.
Right.
Double agent. I forget the I think it's the double. I can't remember. Like 007 agent was the hardest difficulty, and there was another thing you had to do. So not only the enemies get more
Right.
difficult, but there
Expands the mission.
Exactly,
Yeah.
which is really, really cool. I'm surprised
Yeah.
it hasn't that hasn't taken off more.
Right.
The idea of having objectives is where I think GoldenEye really influenced a lot of first-person shooters moving forward, or just third-person shooters and games in general.
Yeah.
So I think that was very, very important.
Yeah, for sure. So we talked about our some of the more like mentionable or favorites of ours.
Yes.
In 64, I'm actually going to get away from 64. Mine was Resident Evil 1.
Yes.
Was a really important one for me. I was way too young to play it. It was very scary for me, which is why it was so notable, I think.
It's still scary.
Yeah, it's pretty scary. Well, the GameCube one is like not only story scary, it's like visually, like that game holds up because I think like the fixed camera angles, they were able to do a lot more with the
pre-rendered backgrounds.
Exactly. But the PS1 one, it doesn't necessarily hold up.
But there's even a psychological horror
Absolutely,
idea
yes.
of
So that's
running
that
low
sticks.
on ammo and running low on saving. So the idea of scarcity.
I found it even harder, the PlayStation 1 version versus the GameCube.
Even because we had played the remake for PS4, so the remake
that's right. Yeah.
of Resident Evil 1.
Right.
And they added the analog control, so you can actually just run around like more like a Devil May Cry style game.
Yeah.
Versus the tank controls of Resident Evil 1.
Right.
Which were something that I felt very frustrated by when I played it for the first time.
It was so hard.
It took a long time for me to adjust to Resident Evil 1. But go ahead, sorry.
It made it special in its own way. Like, that's some of the first things I think about when I think about that game. It's like, its difficulty. But I don't know. Where is it? Say it, baby.
Right here, coffee.
Oh, yeah, right here. So we found in shop the director's cut. Look at that classic. Did they actually re-render this? So, like, this isn't the old, like, you know,
Wait,
like I think
the
one
first
of the most
zombie you
famous
see
shots
when he's in down the hall.
turns around.
I think that's what it's supposed to be emulating, but I don't think that's taken right from that screenshot.
Artist.
I think that it would be a little bit too. It'd be a way more blocky. I think. But
We'll
it's emulating. We'll look into that.
We'll check into that.
But yeah, the difficulty of Resident Evil 1, I felt was, again, that's the part that made me scared. Right. The when you get into the liquors and that part always gets me. And then is the tyrant's the final boss? I think. It escapes me as well.
Yeah.
Terrifying.
I think it is. Yeah.
And
on the rooftop.
It's all hazy, man. I remember Resident Evil 2 more.
Pad?
I remember Resident Evil 2 more than I remember
Me too. Yeah,
Resident
I was a
Evil
little
1.
older when I played it.
That's when you fight William on the train, right? The big
yes.
and he's like chomping down the train on the
right.
way up.
So scary.
It was terrifying.
Yeah.
And even the dogs, right? They jump through the window.
Yeah. It took years off my life. I remember actually one like more like psychologically scary thing that I would actually like have nightmares about from Resident Evil 1 is when you go into the basement area, which I was already scared of just naturally being a kid and being scared of basements. So going down the stairs and realizing that you're below ground and like if you want to like jump through a window you couldn't or whatever. So that's already scary. And then when you go to this one room,
someone jumping through a window.
You go to this one room and there's like it's like a bedroom and you go around the bed and you find this like note of like it's like a memoir of somebody who's like experiencing like the outbreak, I guess, and then gradually they're becoming a zombie, and like so by the end their text is really like saw security guard, looked tasty, ate tasty or whatever, and then like one of the last ones is like itchy, hungry, tasty or something, and then
that's it,
like just that yeah, exactly, that's it. And then that zombie busts, like that guy busts through the closet or whatever, just like that whole thing, like I had insane nightmares about that.
Way too young to experience that.
Yeah, way too young.
I agree. That piece is so cool. The idea of, we'll talk about The Last of Us, I think, a little bit later, but the idea of environmental storytelling.
Right.
The idea of building this world out of lore, but that exists, right? So having the Umbrella Corporation and the idea of leaving notes around and finding.
Right.
I think that's for me, the first time I played a 3D game that incorporated the expanded lore where you'd find like the notes and et cetera, which became more prevalent in like BioShock and stuff like that. So, anything else you want to touch upon for Resident Evil?
No.
Okay, I'm going to move on.
Absolutely.
Also out of the N64 era, I want to grab Metal Gear Solid 1. So we looked at Metal Gear on the normal Nintendo, and then same director, Hideo Kojima. Alex?
No, we just want you to look at it.
Does it look good? Does it look great? Looks great. Excellent.
Poor guy.
I just wanted to see if you were paying attention or not. I want you to recount the last 20 seconds of what I talked about.
We'll quiz you.
That's actually what you said. Holy crap. That's amazing. Thank the Lord. So Metal Gear Solid 1 is a game that got me back into gaming. So at that point in my life, I feel that it, based on our generation, it has the word game in it. So I think our parents really said, like, you're getting kind of old for games. And it's, yeah, you know what, maybe this is where I cut the cord and I expand into something else.
I just held my breath until I got my way.
And I passed out. And I hit my head.
And then I woke up and I was able to game as much as I wanted into the night. You know what it is,
that's
right?
messed up. Absolutely.
That's the way kids do it.
So this is the game I played. So it was a friend of mine, Stuntman, if you're watching. He got it for Christmas. It came out in 1998, and so I would have been 10, 11 years old, roughly.
Okay, yeah.
So anyway, he says, you have to try this game, and I'm like, okay, I kind of remember like Metal Gear, 'cause I'd played Metal Gear before, but I didn't realize it was a continuation. But anyway, the idea of storytelling and cinematics and voice acting, I was like, wow, this is where gaming is going. It isn't just Mario jumping on a mushroom and collecting coins and trying to get from point A to point B with no narrative other than the idea of go save the princess. Right. That it was more there to push you on your way, but it's more about the gameplay. This married gameplay, so a stealth, tactical espionage action. With a really, really cool story. A very adult story talking about nuclear war and the threat of, and the idea of cloning, and just a lot of heavy themes that were presented to myself at a relatively young age. And this is, the game even like messes with you. So if, I think it's like the Colonel, Snake goes like, Colonel, like what's Meryl's codec number? And he's like, check the back of the box. And I'm like, what box? And so Stuntman has the copy at his place because it's 2 discs. So I said disc 1, and he has disc 2 in the actual case.
That's a bang on Snake. I'm sorry. Someone's been practicing.
This morning. Colonel. Matt, what are you doing? Nothing. Nothing. So I call up Stuntman, and Stuntman, I need you to tell me what the codex frequency on the box is. And he's already ready for me. He already knows it's coming.
Sitting by like in a lounge chair, like tapping the like thing, staring at nothing, like at the corner of the room. Yeah, he's got it. Whoa, listen, I need you to 5, 1, 2.
Russell, is your mom there? Oh, yeah. Sorry, Auntie. You got to call back. I'm busy. 148.64. That is all. So, and even the idea of the Psycho Mantis fight, and if you've played certain Konami games, he'll read the memory card and he'll break the fourth wall and talk to the audience. I see you like Castlevania Symphony of the Night. There, nailed it. Took me a second, but I nailed it.
We'll get there.
Sympathy of the Night. So that game will always be super, super important to me because of what it did in terms of putting me on. There's a split timeline that exists where my parents are like, hey, get into woodworking. And then my brain's like, keep playing games. And there's an evil Matt out there that's really good at woodworking. And a good Matt that's still playing games.
The evil Matt's grouchy. He makes a good amount of money, provides for his family, but no games.
Evil.
Very grouchy.
Bad mustache. He thinks that it works. That he pulls it off. He doesn't. He doesn't.
Yeah.
It's got that native blood. I'm sorry. So we can kind of move on from the N64. We'll come back to Ocarina of Time maybe at the end. Just when we're looking at wrapping up.
Here's the original box.
And actually, Cal was super. I actually bought this here, and it was missing the booklet, like the instruction manual. And he was nice enough to give me a shout, and he had an extra copy of the booklet for Ocarina of Time. Yeah, cool. So he called me, and I came and picked it up, which was awesome. Wow. So thank you, Cal, for that. Really appreciated. But so yeah, let's move on from N64 and move into the PS2, Xbox.
Yes. Yeah.
GameCube era
Yeah.
of games. Do you want to talk? I know we both want to talk about Knights of the Old Republic, so I'll let you.
That's right.
I'll let you jump on that one first.
Yeah. I remember I found Knights of the Republic. Wasn't I with you? We were in high school, and we found it at some weird. It was like a, I don't know, some kind of shop.
That's right.
Had a lot of used stuff.
That's
and
right.
There was like a small little like square bin with games.
That's right. Was it Big Deal? Was it the one by the KFC?
Yeah, by the
think so.
KFC. That's
Yeah.
correct.
Right.
Yeah.
And we pick up, and also a few timelines here. So you were playing it, I was playing it, and Richard Bush was playing it as well. And we were all different
our own
schedules.
games, yeah.
Yeah. So I think I went to school.
I dropped out. Just kidding.
So there was another divergent path. There was like evil Zach and good Zach.
Yeah, exactly. I basically just didn't do anything and shut her down when you got home so you could have your turn. No, we're
Held your
both in
breath.
school. Yeah, I guess our work schedules were different.
So I usually
after-
worked during the afternoon, so at school then afternoon, and I think you were working the pizza shop, so you'd be
At night,
school
yeah.
and you work at night.
Right.
And I had no idea what Gush did. I think that's why he made it further than us. I think that's why he
Right.
beat the game before us.
Right.
I don't think he was doing much.
Right.
Maybe he was doing something. I don't know. Anyway, it was really cool to see the different choices you can make. When we talked about the idea of mission structure coming from GoldenEye, Knights of the Old Republic built in the idea of the light side versus the dark side. And I
Right.
feel that was the first time I feel that it was very mainstream, where you got a sense of you could. I think we talked about this on a podcast before, but you could totally just, like, that lady comes out in her apartment and says, "Please don't tell the guards I'm here. You can't tell them I'm here."
Right.
And you could say, "Well,
Guards!
immediately."
You shouldn't have talked to me. I know. Yeah, that's
And then the
right.
guards give you some money
Yeah.
for your trouble, and she gets whisked away to her doom. And or you could do the light side and say, "Yeah, you know what? I won't let them know you're here."
Right.
And you go even lighter, and you could be like, "Here's a few credits."
Right.
Like, get out of
Or you
the
could
city.
do like a fun side mission and like get to the root of the issue while they're being hunted down.
Guards.
And so guards. There she is. Here's a few credits for your trouble. Oh, I wasn't doing this for credits.
Just light her up. That's
With a super scope.
she's just
Blasters
some
to
lady.
kill. Sweet old lady. Yeah, that game was hilarious. Like, I never had the heart to do any of it, but I loved that I had the option.
Yeah, totally. Me too. And
And-
I think we were both playing Jedi, and Gush was playing Dark Side.
Yeah, that sounds
believe.
right.
And that was when we did the you get to the cave and you're doing your Jedi trials.
Yeah.
That there's a moment there that will always influence my
Right.
gaming in terms of a really special moment.
Right.
And that's building your own lightsaber.
Building your lightsaber, yeah.
And that was so cool you could customize it if you wanted to do like the Darth Maul
Right.
double edge, or you
Yeah.
could do a single, or you could do two.
Or you could have two, yeah.
Exactly, which
Yeah.
was awesome. I had two. I had a blue and green, I think.
Right. I think I went just with one blue, I think.
Right.
For my first playthrough.
But it
I
was
mean,
cool.
when you build it, you really are only limited to the one, and then afterwards, as the story goes on, you could like steal them from Sith
That's right.
apprentices and stuff like
Exactly, the different colored crystals or
that.
whatever
And
to put
you
into
can
yours.
edit them, yeah, exactly.
100%.
Which is badass.
So, moving on from Knights of the Old Republic, but same era. It's not a console game, but Diablo 2. Diablo 2, probably the game I've put the most hours into collectively. So
Right.
either that or Pokemon Blue. I'm not sure. They're very different games, but the Diablo 2, that just dragged me into that world, in the sense of that was the first time that I played games online. I think that I played
Right,
a little
yeah.
bit of Rainbow Six, the original Rainbow Six, and not Rogue Spear. Is it Rogue Spear? Was the expansion? Anyway, that was, I think, and Soldier of Fortune. I think playing
Soldier
your
of Fortune,
place.
yeah.
So those were the ones that I played for the first online stuff. But Diablo 2 was the first one that really grabbed me and pulled me into staying up all night and playing with friends, and really, I don't know, anyway, thousands of hours. I'd say 1,500 hours. I'd say into that game.
Right.
The one I remember the most is I came back from work, ate, friends. Hey, you want to come want to come skateboarding? No, I gotta do a few extra bail
I have
runs.
things to do.
I have more things to do at home. I gotta do some chores around hell. And Anyway, so I was one more bail run, and then I look out and it's the sun's just coming up. Like, no way, that sucks, because then I had to go to work, and so I get to work. My boss is like, whoa, he's like, just go home. And I was like, no, like I can totally do this. Okay,
I could totally do this, man. Like I got it. I'm on top of it.
And just headphones.
What
I
needs to be done?
I just cut the grass all day. No interaction with any customers or anything. I think he knew what he was doing. He knew how to run a business.
That's hilarious.
Murray, still, if you're watching, thank you for letting me stay during that day and make some money. I appreciate that. Any memories for Diablo 2 for yourself?
Oh yeah, not necessarily memories. I mean, that game doesn't really create memories. It wastes time. Like super fun. I played a ton of it, but yeah, there might be, you probably have some stories of like people that like screwed you over, like helped you out or something. Like people, like a lot of people would come and they'd give you a bunch of crap and then you'd be sailing.
Totally. There was an area where you could, some people were really great. They would Sherpa you through like the game. So they would run you through normal old Nightmare, then Hell, and then just so you could like level that character up. And then you'd usually have to pay them your Hell Forge. So you'd go to the Forge, you'd hit it, and then a rune would come out, and in Hell, your Hell rune would always be, I think, Pull or greater. I think. And so anyway, you'd pay them that to help you out. So it was a really, really cool community as well. But then, like you said, there was other people that they said like hold Shift F7, and then a guy came and signed in as me. He took my account.
Okay.
And then just dropped all my gear and then left.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's scary. That could have went in a way worse direction.
Totally, exactly. It was very upsetting. But and then same with like I don't know, it was a guy. So his name is Ben Borsier. He's the one who actually got me into Diablo 2, and his account got hacked. Same thing. Dropped all his gear, and then the guy, his friend came in, picked up all the gear, and then left his character with all his rare stuff gone. And then myself and his other friend, we went to town just farming and building a big inventory of stuff for him to use to trade to get back to where he was. So it was really cool, the idea of building a community not only with your friends but with people that you don't know. There's good people out there, also bad people.
Actually, my very first online gaming experience was accidental. I was playing Heroes of Might and Magic 3, and I was just playing around in the menu, and eventually it went like connecting, and then like it said some like gamer tag that like I was like, I think I got a virus, and then and then the guy was typing to me, and I didn't know how to type. He was just like, hey, are you gonna end your turn? Because I was just so confused, and I was like, who are you? But I was just terrified, and then eventually it's like press enter to chat or whatever, and I did it, and I was like, oh my god, this is crazy, you're a person. Because I thought it was like
drop all your gear.
Okay. Okay.
That's very nice of you.
Shift F7. Anyways, so that's a fun story.
Awesome. Before we move on to the next era, I just wanted to go through, so this is some of the items that are here at the shop. So for the GameCube, we actually have a few.
All the parties.
Yeah, every Mario Party that is for the GameCube. So Mario Party 4, we'll do chronologically.
Fine.
4.
5. Where's 6 chronologically?
It still works. That still works chronologically, I think.
6 was the bad one.
That's right.
6 had too many bugs.
The black sheep of the family.
Yeah.
But anyway, there's some really cool rare games here at the shop as well. In terms of GameCube, I actually bought this here.
Twilight Princess
So for the GameCube. So this one's a little more rare than the Wii version of this, because this game came out at the Wii launch.
Yeah.
It had.
That's why I bought the Wii.
That's right. That's where I beat Twilight Princess, was on your Wii after you had beat it and let me borrow it.
Yeah.
And then years later, I had never even seen the GameCube version in my entire life, and I came into the shop a few months ago and I picked this up, which was really, really cool to see. And there's a bunch of rare stuff here as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's great. The
Lame Cube.
The Twilight Princess. Do you where do you fall on Twilight Princess? You love it? Don't like it? Is it in the middle?
Yeah, great game.
I think so
too. I
really
loved it. Yeah.
It's
I didn't care for the Twilight stuff so much at first, like when you become a wolf and then how it's interwoven.
And you find like little bugs to fill up the Twilight thing to turn back into a human.
Yeah. I just started a game of it recently, and I realized that the reason I didn't like it is because I was expecting Ocarina of Time 2 in a Wii format where I could actually use the Master Sword with the motion stuff.
So that's why you need to still play Skyward Sword. It's not super fun, fantastico. Like we talked about on a past podcast, but going you came in and I'm playing it, you're like, what the hell is this garbage on the screen? Because it's
Right.
standard def on this high definition
Right.
television.
Need
It's
to
all
buy a
washed
tube
out.
TV.
Yeah, exactly. And it is kind of that. Like, it is the one-to-one where you have the Wiimote and you can actually move the sword, and
Right.
you can see it, and it builds in enemies that you have to slash at diagonally or
Right.
horizontally or vertically, depending
Yeah,
on
that's pretty
the way
cool.
they're standing. So there's some really cool ideas in that game, but it's, I think, worth a play, but it is something that's, again, kind of the black sheep of the Zelda franchise.
Yeah, that's what I hear. Yeah, and it just based on my small bursts into your bedroom. Now what are you doing?
Guards!
Good thing you're usually playing video games.
Just stand there like in my boxers. Oh my god, this looks awful. Yeah, it's a standard def version on HDTV. No, God, put your clothes on. Why?
Why? Yeah, I get more aerodynamics with my sword play, and I'm like, sure.
Bye, Matt.
Anyways, yeah, I'll check it out.
So we're gonna move on from the PS2, Xbox, GameCube era and move more into the PS3, 360, Wii era. So I know we just talked about Skyward Sword a little bit, so
Right.
a little bit of a sneak peek. So,
22 minutes left. Do you need more time?
no, I think we should be able to wrap that up in 22 minutes. You got it, Al. Thank you so much. Keeping us honest.
Thanks, boss.
So getting into the PS3, so we actually have a whole podcast episode dedicated to The Last of Us. So we don't have to go
Yes.
into that as detailed,
Right.
but it is a very, very important game. Actually, I was talking to a guy last night, Christian from a buddy of mine's band here in Sudbury, and he came up to me and said, "Hey man, you're like gaming. Like, did you ever play The Last of Us?" I was like, "Have I played The Last of Us?" Sit down.
Right.
If you got time, how much time you got here? Like,
Yeah.
like 2, 3, 4 hours.
I love meeting people that love that game as much as I do.
100%.
Have a great conversation.
Totally, and it was cool to see someone that was interested where I didn't even speak too much of it. Actually, he spoke of it. And he said that opening, that opening
Right,
just
yeah.
gets you. He's like, just right in the feels. And
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, man. I was like, it's very, very important. There is another like touchstone game, cornerstone game in
Right.
my library that shaped, not who I am, but like that shaped who I am in the sense of gaming.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I feel like the game was made for me. I felt like they have like my phone's tapped, my internet tapped, everything tapped, and they were
Psycho.
just like, okay, this is our key demographic. This kid plays a lot of games.
Man, we could probably. He's got the beard.
Yeah, he's got the beard.
He's got the anger. He's
Yeah.
got the backpack. He's got that girl.
Average looking, average height, average build. Let's do this. So they tapped into my stuff, and then they made The Last of Us. So
It's
thank you,
awesome.
Sony and
Yeah.
Naughty Dog.
No, it rules. The other PS3 game. You want to hold that bad boy up? Let's hold that bad boy up.
The Last of Us.
The other game from that era I
Let's
really
hear.
want to talk about is Journey. So that one is they actually do have a physical release of that game, but the digital version was the first one to come out, and that game, I remember when I played it, I think I went to your place or Al's place, and I was like, you guys have to play
Right,
this.
yeah.
It's something special. I can't even describe it in the sense of you're just wandering around the desert.
Right.
That's
you
it.
made it to me. When I was picturing it, you made it sound like a 2D side scroller. That's
Right.
always what I was picturing till the moment I turned it on.
Right.
That's what I was waiting for, and then I was like, "Whoa!" I loved it like right off the hop.
Right.
Just like the
It's
intro
visually
score,
stunning, and then
the sparkle of the sand.
Totally. There's that one
Sand
section where
sparkles.
you're sliding down the sand sparkles.
Oh, yes.
And then the sun's reflecting off it, and it's over exaggerated,
gorgeous.
but it looks
Yeah.
nuts.
And the score, the musical score, honestly, that boosted it a whole point for me from like
100%.
say like 9 out of 10 to like 10 out of 10. It just
Totally.
added in such a great, tasteful way.
For me, it was the social element. I know we talked a little bit about social
yeah,
elements
for sure.
in Diablo
Yeah.
2, but this was something unique.
Right.
The idea
In terms of online
yeah,
gaming,
not knowing, not even knowing. I didn't even know that could happen. So in Journey, you start off by yourself and you're wandering around the desert. And I think you can run into people relatively fast. So the first guy I ran into, you can walk over. You can't communicate. There's no texting. You don't know what their gamer tag is or anything like that.
Right.
And he just wanted to go, and so I'm trying to explore, and he just takes off, and I said, okay,
Right.
like that's fine, and he leaves, and I figure the puzzle out, and I move on to the next section. Another gentleman comes over, and I can see like you can hold a button and you do like your whistle, like boom,
Right.
boom,
Yeah.
and so I see it in the distance, and he's trying to get my attention, so I
Right.
wander over to him, and that's all we can do is beep at each other.
Right.
And then so he starts exploring the way I was exploring, and we we didn't find everything, but we were trying to find the little secrets and the extra little pieces of your scarf and etc.
Right.
And we made it to that whole section, and when you're climbing up the snowy mountain, again, not to spoil anything, well, kind of spoil anything, but there's just a very, I don't know how they did it in terms of game design, but they made me care about this other character, even
Right.
though I didn't know who they were.
Right.
I didn't know their name. They've only communicated to me in beeps. But I saw him starting to die
Right.
and shake and
Yeah.
he could barely climb up the mountain anymore.
Right.
And we were huddled as close as we literally could and just beeped at each other to like
Right.
give each other like the boost
Yeah, yeah.
to
The
keep going.
chi.
Yeah, to get passing on my chi to him. I'm like, please live. And
Please die. You from the beginning, you think that's the kill button. Like,
for him, he's just like trying to take my clothes.
he's like really emotional about like live. You're like, why won't you die?
Want your scarf.
Want your cool scarf.
Want your school money. So he anyways, the game ends and the credits roll and it says these are the guys you played with.
Right.
So there was the one guy who had left.
Right.
And I got his gamer tag or whatever. And then the next one, it says this is who you played with. And I scrambled to grab a piece of paper so I could write it down just so I could send him a message.
Right.
And then the screen faded to black. And because it was a more complicated name than something like mine. Mine's very easy. Games at Matt, if we want to come play some games. And I was like, crap, I'll never be able to send him a message to say what a cool experience that was.
Right.
And 15 minutes later, I was playing something else, and he fires me off a message through the PSN and basically said exactly what I wanted to say to him. He said, not sure if this was your first time. That was my first time playing that game. Really cool of you to play in the same style as myself, and just overall really great experience. Thank you so much for that.
Right.
And I sent him a message back expressing my feelings
Right.
as well to say, no, thank you. That was amazing. You played exactly the way I wanted to play as well.
Right.
And so anyway, he's the only person I have on my PSN that I don't know
Right.
in real life or have met in real life.
Right.
And it was that special where I see him like come and play something else. I've never really spoken to him ever
Right.
again, but I always just carry that memory forward.
Right. Yeah. Absolutely.
So that was a really long topic about Journey.
Yeah, my guy, I feel like was probably really young or girl.
Right.
It was like they were just like really hyperactive, like they wanted to explore everything, and then here's me, like old, like
Grouchy Joel.
Grouchy Joe, just like going along, like kids, and then but whenever like shit got real,
Right.
he would always like come to me. I was always the guy with the plan. So
Right.
he was like the little puppy that was like
Gotcha.
running in circles around me, and
Yeah.
and then when things got real, he would be like right next to me, and like I would be formulating the plan.
Right.
And then afterwards,
escape.
same as yourself, like I had only played with the one person, and like I added on, I was like, hey, that was really cool. Was that your first time or whatever? And they were like, yeah, that was great. And then like moved on, and like never, it wasn't as profound
Sentimental.
as your experience, but
Have you ever played it again, Journey?
no, I watched, I think my brother Al played it,
Right.
and my girlfriend
Candace.
yeah, and I think that's it.
So I've never played it again. I'm worried that I will tarnish the idea of like what I have in my head,
Right.
and because of what you're discovering while you're playing it, and
Right.
to know what to expect, I think it won't be as special. I think it'd be really cool,
Right.
But I have an idea what Journey is in my head, and that's all I want it to
Yeah,
be.
I hear you. Yeah, I probably won't play it again, like you said, to not like tarnish the, because I was lucky enough to have a profound experience like another human being, and get the
100%.
same like concept as you did. Like when I was watching others play it was months after,
Right.
And like the one Candace got, I think was
I just
like,
wanted to burn through it or whatever.
yeah, like I saw they had like a decked out outfit and like
Right.
the massive cool scarf and stuff.
I think you can go white. I think if you get all the scarf pieces.
Yeah. And so they had clearly ran through the game like several times. So he was just like constantly waiting at the door while she was like exploring. And I was like, that kind of sucks. Like it was really cool for me. I could tell my person had never played it before. We were kind of like all about exploring, and especially the other. Anyway,
100%.
yeah, crazy game.
So we're gonna move on
Crazy.
to our modern game. So do you want to take the wheel for a second? And what's the one you want to
Oh yeah,
go
so
over?
mine's a PC game. I just whipped this one together. It's that one. It's a
Whip it.
our go-to game for like whenever we just don't know what to play or when
Sure.
nothing's cool. It's called Company of Heroes 2.
Right. Is this one a real-time strategy?
Real-time strategy,
Okay.
yeah. So it's a lot more intimate. You could see your men and they're separated into little squads or tanks or whatever, and you just like control them on a large grid battlefield and
Cool.
and give
It's
at
like
each other.
It's like StarCraft, right? Essentially.
Yes,
Okay.
yeah. Command and conquers and stuff like
Gotcha,
that. Like
okay.
in terms of that perspective, and you're controlling your ground
I'm too
units.
dumb for real-time strategy.
It's harsh.
I'm
it's
too dumb.
so harsh. You're not too dumb. Like, so I played it later on in life, and
Cool.
I had a really hard time. But I put the time into it because I'm really interested in World War II and history and stuff. So it was a
Totally.
lot easier for myself to like get past the learning curve. Like the buddy that Al and I play with online, he was
Yep.
like top 20 in North America for
That's
a while.
unreal. That's so
he's
cool.
Amazing. Like Al and I are just every time we're in a situation, he just like takes care of it.
Yeah.
And we're just like secret weapon.
That rules.
Who is Justin? Yeah.
Right.
Anyways.
Way to go, Justin.
Yeah, he's
Secret
crazy.
weapon.
He's crazy good.
So I just want to move into we actually just recorded a podcast about this that isn't live just yet, but we discussed Breath of the Wild, and so I won't go into too much of that. Check out that episode, but here is a piece from that game. So again,
Guardian.
it's a Guardian. So we again, I'm not going to go into too much. Again, it's another. We talked about the Zelda games to death, but this one is something that was very special. Again, that game was a 10 out of 10 for me in the sense
Right.
that it evolved. It evolved from it's actually the most like the original Zelda for the
Right.
normal Nintendo in the sense of the exploration. You can do dungeons in different orders. You can explore. You don't have to. You can do whatever you want in that
Right.
sense, right? And the idea of having this style of game exists now. So there are the top-down Zeldas, your Link to the Past, your normal ones, your Game Boy Zeldas. There's the Ocarina of Time style Zeldas that are 3D based, where you get your weapon in the dungeon, and then it allows you to
Right.
beat that dungeon. You can apply that to the world, like very Metroid-esque, where you can climb into different areas based on what the items you have. And then Breath of the Wild is a totally different style of game now, where it again emulates the original one, but there's something special to the design of it in the sense of this is all I wanted to play.
Right.
And the idea of starting with nothing and then building your way up into like the first time you run into a Guardian and he wipes the floor with you and
Right.
being terrified, and then
Right.
the music's in, ding, ding,
Right.
ding, 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 and he has the laser lock on it.
Yeah,
And
that
it's
was
like,
scary. And frustrating at times. Like, I
I-
just want to get from A to B.
I know
You're
you
going to
do.
make me go all the way around, aren't you? Yeah,
Oh,
you
yeah.
are.
It's like run into the nearest forest, man. And
Yeah.
then because we had talked, we didn't do the any of the fast travel stuff. So if we were stuck against a Guardian, we didn't take off into it.
Right.
So we faced it, and died or escaped.
Right.
So again, I won't beat that into the ground, but Breath of the Wild was a 10 out of 10 for me. And
Yeah, we did a whole podcast. If you want to hear me beaten on a great game, have a listen.
25 minutes of Zach complaining about Breath of the Wild. And link Al, when you're doing the edit, put the edit right here. Put the link right here.
And some
Ding!
sprinkles.
If you can. Is
Like
that possible?
Can you make a rainbow?
possible? Yeah.
Rainbow sprinkle?
Just-
Any kind of sprinkle.
Yeah, good, sure, go for it. Yeah. So that's kind of going through all of the eras that we've wanted to talk about today.
Mm-hmm.
Was there anything you wanted to touch upon real quick?
Well, I'm thinking about
sure.
asking Cal if I can move in here. I think this will do just fine.
Can we just move like in the
Like a
basement,
bed over
upstairs, or
there.
anything?
Maybe a couch.
We're relatively quiet.
Yeah, we say relatively.
We're pretty loud.
We're pretty loud.
So if you have an opportunity, please come down to the store and check it out. Not just don't take our word for it. You have to come and check out some of the stuff yourself.
Yeah.
In some of the B-roll, you saw a lot of the games that were looked at on the shelf, but there's also some that are down here that you have like Vita and 3DS and DS and Super Nintendo, normal Nintendo, PS4, N64.
Yeah.
There's controllers.
Controllers,
Yeah.
AC adapters.
Exactly. So please come check it out in the sense of there's something here for you.
Yeah, even just to come look. There's
Totally.
a lot of really cool stuff
And
in
people-
like original boxes and,
And
everything.
cool people just to come chat with.
Yeah.
Come play the Ultimate Mortal Kombat thing. I think me and Zach can have one more round of it, and then I'm going to beat the living hell out of him.
in real life.
Real life.
You're gonna beat me in the game and then beat me.
That's right. And then can I get a ride home later?
because that's when I'm most vulnerable.
I probably need a
We'll
ride home
see.
later. So again, guys, thank you so much for watching. Again, we are downtown Sudbury at Comics North /Hidden Level Games. We are variable. This is the variable Gamecast, so you can check us out on YouTube. If you search Variable Gamecast, we have a channel there with a bunch of videos. We're also on iTunes now, so you can search Variable, and I think it's the number 2 that pops up. If you search Variable Gamecast,
Whoop whoop.
then we're number 4, I think that
I
pops
don't know.
up. Something
it
like
was
that.
number 1 for me.
Whatever.
Yeah.
Anyway, point is...
It's different for everybody. There's something for everybody. You might not even find it at all.
then
Cannot compute.
Just spelled it
You
all
don't need
wrong.
to see this. Yeah.
Variable. How many eyes in variable? So yeah, come check us out. Give us some feedback, positive, negative. Like, we embrace it. We really want to make the show better for yourselves. And again, this is like a really super cool episode that we wanted to share with you. And thank you so much for watching. Really appreciate it.
Bye.
As always, see you on the field.
On the field. Oh, please don't do that. That's very expensive.
I was thinking about as I did it. And cut. Just went right for it. You saw the button on his chest.
I need to push the button. What?
Why is he Darth Vader now?
He's gonna be like that for like the whole, like the rest of recording in the background.
I thought his buttons were a button each, but it was just like because the line here. I thought I could push here.
Just encouraging children like to touch that ass.
Yeah.
Oh. The groan.
Oh my god. Yeah. It just takes a huge breath.